In the heart of a bustling city, a young girl named Mariana faces the weight of responsibility far beyond her years. At just 12, she spends her days selling flowers to support her unemployed father, Luis. But a puzzling sight, her father in an expensive suit and luxury car, leaves her questioning their circumstances. Despite her exhaustion, Mariana finds solace in the encouragement of her friend Sofia and the support of the Hernandez family, who provide her with meals and kindness. Yet, their lives take a sorrowful turn when Luis's health deteriorates, and the family restaurant, a haven for Mariana, is forced to close. With renewed determination, Mariana discovers a local talent show that could change their fate. But Luis, burdened by past regrets and a worsening condition, hesitates to seize the opportunity. His refusal to rest and relentless work leads to a heart-wrenching collapse, leaving Mariana to face her deepest fears. As Luis is rushed to the hospital, a familiar face from his past, a doctor who once admired his piano performances, offers a glimmer of hope amidst their darkest hour. This unexpected connection serves as a poignant reminder of the impact of Luis's music and the enduring spirit of a father's love for his daughter. Join us as we explore this powerful story of sacrifice, hope, and the unbreakable bond between a father and his daughter. If you are not subscribed, I recommend you subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss any videos. The young girl, Mariana, tirelessly sold flowers each day with a single aim: to support her father, who had lost his job. However, her heart sank when she spotted him clad in a luxurious suit and slipping into a high-end car. The stark contrast between his opulent appearance and her daily grind was a bitter pill to swallow. As Mariana packed away the last of the unsold flowers, a heavy sigh escaped her lips, carrying with it the weight of another long and wearisome day. At just 12 years old, Mariana was burdened with responsibilities far beyond her years. Her childhood was sacrificed to help sustain her family. She should have been focusing on homework, she thought, a sharp pang of regret piercing through her as she collected her belongings, resigning herself to the harsh reality of her circumstances. A familiar, comforting voice broke through her contemplation. It was Sofia, her closest friend, who approached with an encouraging smile that momentarily lit up Mariana's world. "How was your day today?" Sofia asked, her tone infused with genuine concern. Mariana, ever the trooper, managed to smile, albeit strained. "I sold some, but not enough," she said, her voice tinged with the somber truth of her situation. Sofia placed a supportive hand on Mariana's shoulder, a silent gesture of solidarity. "You're the bravest person I know," she said earnestly. "I don't know how you manage it every single day." Mariana confided in Sofia about her yearning to return to school, to embrace the carefree life of other children who worried only about their studies and playtime. "I wish I could have that chance," Sofia admitted, her eyes dreaming of a future where she could become a doctor to help her father and others in need. The weight of their shared dreams and the longing for a different life seemed almost too heavy to bear. Upon arriving home, Mariana was greeted by her father, Luis, in their modest kitchen. Luis, a man of few words, expressed his love through every action and worried glance. "How was your day, my dear?" he asked as he served dinner. Mariana forced a smile once again, trying to keep the conversation light despite the fatigue that clung to her. "It was okay, Dad. Sofia stopped by to see me," she said, masking the exhaustion that seeped through her words. Luis watched Mariana as she ate in silence, noticing the dark circles under her eyes, a stark reminder of sleepless nights and the relentless demands of selling flowers at the traffic light. "You shouldn't have to carry this burden, Mariana. You're still just a child," he said, his voice thick with guilt and sorrow. Mariana met his gaze, her heart aching at his words. "I do it for us, Dad. We're a team, remember?" she replied, trying to infuse a sense of encouragement into the conversation. As Mariana prepared for bed that night, her thoughts swirled with the routine that kept her away from school and dreams that felt increasingly out of reach. "Someday, things will change," she whispered to herself, clutching onto a fragile hope for a brighter future. The next day, exhaustion weighed heavily on Mariana's shoulders, but she carried a small triumph with her. She had sold every last flower. It was a modest achievement, but a significant one given her daily struggle to contribute to the family's finances. "Dad, I sold them all today," she announced with a glimmer of pride in her eyes, finding Luis in the kitchen, who once again masked his persistent cough with a forced smile. "That's wonderful, Mariana. You're becoming quite the salesperson," he responded. His words mingled with admiration and pride. Yet, the money that Mariana placed on the table represented far more than the fruit of a day's labor. It symbolized her unwavering dedication and the flicker of hope that burned within her. "Dad, don't you think we should use some of this money to see a doctor for your cough? It's been lingering," she suggested, concern evident in her voice. Luis, however, downplayed the issue. "You don't need to worry about me. It's just a cough, my dear. We need every penny we have," he said, his words betraying a mix of pride and resignation. The rare moments of respite in Mariana's life were provided by Sofia and her family, who owned the restaurant across from the traffic light where Mariana worked. Their generosity, in the form of nourishing meals and heartfelt kindness, offered a rare break from her daily struggles. "You can't imagine how their kindness makes a difference," Mariana shared during dinner, her heart full of gratitude. Yet, the same street that provided solace also exposed Mariana to unkindness. She faced disdainful looks and dismissive comments from those who viewed themselves as superior, rejecting her flowers with a sense of contempt. Some people acted as though she were invisible, or worse, as though she were unworthy of their consideration. Mariana expressed her frustration to Luis, her voice tinged with the sadness of being misunderstood and disregarded. Luis watched with a heavy heart as his daughter navigated the harsh realities of the world. He knew too well how cruel life could be, and the sight of Mariana, so young and burdened, working tirelessly to support them both was a source of deep anguish for him. He felt a growing sense of helplessness, compounded by his deteriorating health. Every day, he struggled to hide his weakness, yearning for the strength to provide a better life for Mariana and to shield her from the painful truth of his illness. The next morning, Luis, battling the exhaustion and persistent cough that seemed to sap his strength, made his way with great effort across the square towards the Hernandez family restaurant. The restaurant, conveniently positioned right in front of the traffic light where Mariana spent her mornings selling flowers, was a beacon of warmth and kindness. Despite the early hour and the street's gradual awakening, Luis maintained a determined stride, though his weakening health was evident in his labored movements. Upon entering the restaurant, he was met with the welcoming smiles of Sofia and her parents, Jorge and Elena, who were preparing the space for another bustling day. "Good morning, Luis. How are you feeling today?" Jorge inquired, wiping a glass with a cloth. Luis, putting on a brave front, responded, "I'm doing well, thank you. And how are you all today?" His voice, though polite, tried hard to mask the underlying frailty. The conversation soon shifted to Mariana, and Luis, his gratitude mixed with concern, said, "Please continue looking after her while she's here. It eases my mind knowing she's in good hands." Sofia, with genuine warmth, replied, "Of course, Luis. Mariana is like family to us. Don't worry about her meals. It's always a pleasure to have her around." Luis, though appreciative, insisted on showing his gratitude and pulled out some money. "I truly appreciate everything you do for her. Please accept this money for her meals." Jorge, placing a reassuring hand on Luis's shoulder, declined with kindness. "No, Luis, we're happy to help. It's the least we can do." Although the Hernandez family situation was far from ideal, their restaurant struggling to stay afloat, and they made it a priority to support Mariana, ensuring her safety and well-being while she worked. Luis, aware of the time slipping away, prepared to leave. "I need to get to work now," he said, his voice tinged with a subtle sadness at having to part from his daughter who was left working on the street. Elena, with a comforting smile, reassured him, "Don't worry, Luis. We'll take good care of her." Luis expressed his heartfelt thanks once more and left the restaurant, his mind occupied with thoughts of Mariana and a hopeful wish for a future where she could pursue her dreams without the burden of selling flowers at the traffic light. Luis continued his journey to a different square, a little farther from the restaurant, where he hoped to find a broader audience amidst the constant flow of people heading to work or school. Despite the square offering a better opportunity to reach potential buyers, it also meant enduring the strain of standing for prolonged hours, further taxing his already frail health. His persistent cough, now a constant companion, disrupted his attempts to persuade passers-by to purchase his flowers. He made every effort to smile and remain cordial, even as his physical discomfort intensified. "Flowers to brighten your day," he announced with a hopeful tone, though his voice grew weaker with each passing hour. As the day wore on, the physical toll of standing for so long became increasingly evident. Luis felt every muscle in his body protest, and his cough worsened, making the journey home a formidable challenge. He knew Mariana would be anxious about his condition, but he desperately tried to mask the seriousness of his ailment. "It's just the fatigue," he repeated to himself, trying to convince both his mind and body that he could handle it. Returning home earlier than usual due to his deteriorating condition, Luis was met by Mariana, who had just arrived from her grueling day. The sight of her father, visibly exhausted and struggling to breathe through his relentless cough, filled her with alarm. "Dad, you're getting worse. You can't keep going on like this," she said, her voice heavy with concern, her eyes reflecting the determination to care for him. Luis wanted to protest, to assure Mariana that he was fine, but the truth was glaringly evident in his frail condition. "Everything's okay. Mariana just needs to rest," he said, his voice betraying the emptiness of his words. Even as he spoke, he knew his attempts at reassurance felt hollow. Mariana, however, was not swayed. Determined to lighten her father's burden, even if just for one night, she took charge with resolute kindness. "Let me handle dinner tonight. You rest," she said, heading towards the kitchen with a purposeful stride. She was resolved to prepare a meal that was not only nourishing but also comforting, a small act of care amidst their shared struggles. As she worked, Mariana decided to broach a subject they rarely discussed: Luis's past as a musician. "Dad, do you ever miss playing the piano?" she asked as she set the table. Luis was taken aback by the question, but a wistful look flickered in his eyes. "Yes, I do miss it," he admitted with a soft, nostalgic tone. "Playing the piano used to bring me immense joy, a sense of freedom that's hard to describe. But, as you know, a piano is quite costly, and I haven't had the chance to play for years." Their conversation drifted into memories of Luis's life before Mariana came into it. "We tried for many years to have a child. People often told us we were too old to start a family, and for a while we believed them. But when we found out you were on the way, it was the greatest joy of our lives," Luis said, his voice thick with emotion. "The pregnancy was high risk, and we did everything we could to ensure your safe arrival." He paused, his face clouding with sorrow as he continued. "Unfortunately, your mother did not survive the birth," he said, struggling to keep his voice steady. "But she left the best part of herself in you," he added, his eyes full of profound love. "You were our dream come true, and despite all the trials, I wouldn't change a thing just to have you here with me." Luis's heartfelt words were a balm to Mariana's soul, offering her a deeper understanding of the sacrifices her parents had made. Luis then recounted the financial difficulties that followed Mariana's birth. "We spent every penny we had during the pregnancy to ensure both you and your mother were safe, and then, shortly after, I lost my job. My health began to fail, and I can no longer work like I used to," he said, his voice carrying the weight of raw honesty. "Normal jobs are no longer an option for me." Mariana's heart ached with the realization of her father's plight. "I'm here, Dad. We'll face this together, like we always have," she said, her voice filled with determination as she took his hand in a gesture of solidarity. At dawn the next day, as Mariana prepared for another grueling day of work, she stumbled upon something unexpected: a vibrant poster plastered on a pole, advertising a local talent show. Her heart raced with excitement as she hurried back home, eager to share the news. "Dad, You won't believe what I found, she burst out, holding the poster aloft, her eyes alight with hope. Luis, noticing the excitement in his daughter's demeanor, looked at her with curiosity. What's got you so thrilled, Mariana? He asked, sensing that something positive had happened. There's a talent show nearby, and the prize money could make a huge difference for us, Mariana said breathlessly. You could play the piano and showcase your incredible talent. This could be our chance to turn things around, Dad. Don't you see? It's an opportunity. Luis's reaction was a blend of surprise and discomfort. After a long, heavy sigh, he said, My dear, the piano brings back many memories I'd rather leave in the past. And honestly, I doubt I can still play like I used to. His voice wavered slightly, revealing the emotional weight he carried. Mariana felt as though a cold splash of water had extinguished her hopes. But Dad, she persisted, her frustration palpable. We can't just give up without giving it a shot. This is our chance to change everything. Luis, with a melancholic expression, replied, Sometimes, Mariana, it's better to accept our reality than to cling to a dream that might cause more pain than joy. His words, though spoken with love, felt like a final decree to Mariana, confirming her deepest fears and leaving her grappling with the harsh reality of their situation. Maybe he's right. Maybe we're destined to just survive, Mariana thought, her spirit faltering. Yet another voice within her insisted, No, we can't just give up. There must be a way to change our story. Throughout the day, as she tried to sell her flowers, Mariana was enveloped in a storm of conflicting emotions. Sadness, frustration, and a sense of urgency. How can we have hope if we simply dismiss an opportunity like this? She mused, feeling the weight of their struggle more acutely than ever. Luis, as was his routine, made his way to the Hernandez family restaurant. He hoped to share a friendly word and ensure that Mariana would have company and food during her workday. However, upon rounding the corner, his heart sank at the sight of a truck parked in front of the restaurant. Men were unloading furniture and kitchen utensils. The confusion and dread surged within him, and he quickened his pace, desperate to understand the unfolding situation. Jorge, what's happening here? Luis asked, his voice tinged with worry as he approached Sophia's father, who was overseeing the move with a heavy heart. Jorge's gaze met Luis's tired eyes, and he sighed deeply before speaking. Luis, we haven't been able to pay the bills for months. The situation became unsustainable, and we had to make the difficult decision to close the restaurant. The pain in Jorge's voice was palpable, each word a testament to their loss. From a distance, Mariana and Sophia shared a tearful farewell hug. Their friendship, forged in the warmth of the restaurant, had become a cherished part of their lives. I will miss you every day, Mariana whispered, holding Sophia tightly. Me too, Mariana. But we'll stay in touch, I promise, Sophia replied, her voice trembling but hopeful. Luis watched the poignant scene, feeling a deep ache in his heart. The restaurant had been more than a place for Mariana. It had been a sanctuary where he knew she was cared for and safe. Now, with the Hernandez family's departure, he was left wondering who would look after his daughter, ensure she had food, and provide the companionship she needed while selling flowers. The sense of security he had felt knowing the Hernandez family was nearby was now replaced by a profound vulnerability. Determined to compensate for the loss, Luis resolved to increase his flower sales. He planned to work longer hours, splitting his time between selling flowers with Mariana during the day and trying to make extra sales at night, despite the strain it would place on his already fragile health. Mariana, deeply concerned, pleaded with him to reconsider. Dad, it's too much. You need to rest too, she said, her eyes reflecting her worry. I know, daughter, but we have to do whatever it takes. Sales at night might be good, and we can't miss this chance, Luis replied, trying to muster an optimistic tone even as fatigue lined his face. As the day wore on, Luis's exhaustion became increasingly evident. His face grew pale and he struggled to maintain his pace. Mariana's concern mounted as she watched him. Dad, you look so tired. We should stop for today, she urged, but Luis was determined to press on. As night fell, Luis headed to his secondary sales spot, his body protesting with every step. The cumulative strain took its toll, and soon, Luis began to feel faint. His vision blurred, and dizziness overwhelmed him. Before he could sit or call for help, he collapsed. Mariana, who had followed him out of concern, rushed to his side. "Dad! Dad!" she cried, shaking him in a desperate attempt to wake him. When he didn't respond, she screamed, "Please, someone call an ambulance." Her voice was filled with raw panic and urgency. The paramedics arrived swiftly, attending to Luis with professional efficiency. Mariana's tears flowed freely as she accompanied her father to the ambulance. "Everything will be okay, Dad. We'll take care of you," she whispered, clutching his hand as the ambulance sped toward the hospital. At the hospital, Luis was immediately taken in by a middle-aged doctor with a kind, professional demeanor. After performing the necessary treatments, the doctor paused, a look of recognition crossing his face. "Hold on a moment," the doctor said, studying Luis with a spark of curiosity. "You used to play the piano at that bar, didn't you?" Luis, still disoriented from his collapse, looked at the doctor with surprise. "Yes, I played there about 15 years ago. How do you know?" he asked, bewildered. The unexpected connection between his past and present left him both intrigued and confused. The doctor's smile widened as he continued attending to Luis. "I used to go to that bar just to listen to you play. You were the reason I decided to learn the piano myself. Although I never became a professional, playing the piano became a cherished hobby for me and my family." Luis looked at him with a mix of surprise and nostalgia. "Seriously? That's incredible. I'm genuinely glad to know that my music had that impact." The doctor's expression softened as he reminisced. "Yes, every Friday night, I gather with my daughters to play the piano together. It's one of the highlights of our week." The joy in the doctor's eyes was unmistakable. As Luis listened, he was reminded of a time when music had been a central part of his life, and he reflected on how different things could have been if circumstances had been kinder. He remembered how he had reacted to Mariana's mention of the piano, and how he had pushed the idea away. "And my daughter knows about you?" Luis asked, a tinge of worry in his voice. The doctor reassured him with a warm smile. "Don't worry, she's well and being well taken care of." The nurse made sure she had something to eat. "She's an incredibly bright, intelligent, and mature girl. I'm impressed." Then, the doctor's tone turned more serious. "If you don't mind me asking, why is your daughter working as a flower seller? It's quite unusual for someone her age." Luis felt a pang of discomfort at the question but recognized the genuine concern behind it. With a sigh, he began to share his story. "Life has not been kind to us. After leaving music, I faced numerous challenges. Mariana's mother passed away early, and since then, it's been a struggle. Selling flowers helps us make ends meet." As Luis spoke, he felt the weight of his struggles pressing down on him. The doctor listened attentively, clearly moved. "I remember watching you play at the bar. You had an incredible talent, and your music was truly inspiring," the doctor said, his voice tinged with emotion. "To hear that someone who touched my life so deeply has faced so many hardships is truly moving." There was a pause before the doctor, with an empathetic look, asked, "Is there anything I can do to help?" Luis instinctively began to decline the offer, driven by his pride. "No, doctor, there's nothing." But he stopped himself, thinking of Mariana and their dire situation. "There might be something. There's a talent contest coming up in the region. The prize could be enough to change our situation, maybe even give us a fresh start." The doctor leaned in, eager to hear more. "But I don't have the money for the registration or proper attire for the presentation. And honestly, I'm afraid," Luis confessed, his voice trembling with vulnerability. He feared setting up unrealistic expectations for Mariana and failing her. "Luis, you inspired me years ago with your music. Let me help you now," the doctor said firmly. "I'll cover the registration fee and help you find suitable attire. It's the least I can do for someone who made such a significant impact on my life." Luis looked at the doctor, overwhelmed by gratitude and disbelief. "But I ask you, please don't tell Mariana about this," he requested urgently. "I don't want her to get her hopes up until we know the outcome." The doctor nodded, understanding the sensitivity of the situation. "I won't tell her anything, I promise. I want to help you have the chance to shine again. Maybe this is the beginning of a new chapter for you and your daughter." Sensing Luis's burgeoning hope, the doctor continued with encouragement. "Luis, I've seen firsthand how music can transform lives. Even if you're feeling weak now, this contest is more than just a competition. It's an opportunity to change your life, and I'm here to support you in any way I can." Luis felt a wave of gratitude and lingering uncertainty as he listened to the doctor's reassuring words. "Thank you, doctor, but I still have doubts," Luis said, his voice tinged with apprehension. The doctor nodded understandingly. "I get it, Luis, but fear shouldn't be the deciding factor here," he said firmly. "I'll support you in every way possible to ensure you're prepared for the contest. But I do have one condition. Mariana must return to school. She can't continue working on the streets and neglect her education." Luis was momentarily taken aback by the doctor's request, feeling it was a bit intrusive. Yet he knew the truth in the doctor's words. "You're right," he admitted. "She deserves more than what I can provide alone. If I'm focusing on practicing for the contest, it'll be easier to tell her I'm working." The doctor's expression softened into a satisfied smile. "Exactly. And consider the financial support until the contest as a way to give back for the positive impact your music had on my life. You're welcome to use my piano for practice every day. We'll make sure you and Mariana have everything you need for this new phase." Luis felt a renewed sense of purpose and hope. "I don't know how to thank you," he said, his voice filled with gratitude. "This means so much to me and will change everything for Mariana. I'll do my best to live up to this opportunity." The next morning, Luis sat Mariana down in the kitchen for a serious talk. His voice was steadier than he felt. "Mariana, I want you to go back to school." Mariana's face showed a mix of surprise and confusion. "But Dad, the money, I need to help by selling flowers. We need it to survive," she protested, her worry palpable. Luis took a deep breath, knowing this step would be challenging. "I've decided to keep selling flowers while you study. It's crucial to me that you get the education your mother wanted for you," he said, his voice wavering slightly as he spoke of his late wife. Mariana, though hesitant, was concerned for her father's well-being. "Dad, are you sure you can handle this? I don't want to make things worse for you," she said, her voice trembling. Luis, summoning all his strength, reassured her. "Yes, Mariana. This is something I need to do for both of us. Focus on your studies, okay? We'll make it work." The following day, Luis took Mariana to school. It was a simple act, but one filled with profound significance. "You're going to do great things, Mariana. I'm proud of you," he said, watching her enter the school. As he walked away, a mix of worry and hope swirled in his heart. He knew he wasn't fully recovered and that the path ahead would be tough, but his focus was on ensuring Mariana's future. Upon arriving at Dr. Sanchez's home, Luis was greeted warmly. "We're ready to start," said the doctor, leading him to a grand piano that took center stage in the living room. As Luis sat at the piano and felt the keys beneath his fingers, it was as if he had found a piece of himself he thought he had lost. Each note he played brought a blend of joy and pain, transporting him back to a simpler time. "You have an extraordinary gift, Luis," Dr. Sanchez said, watching him play with admiration. "Mariana will be very proud of you." Despite the encouragement, Luis couldn't shake the feeling of doubt. He realized that Mariana had never seen him play the piano and wondered if he could meet the expectations of the contest. The thought of potential failure gnawed at him, casting a shadow over his newfound hope. "What if I don't live up to the expectations? What if all this effort ends up being for nothing?" he worried as he continued to play, trying to push the doubts aside. Luis allowed the silence to envelop them for a moment before voicing his insecurities. "I'm scared," he admitted, his vulnerability evident. "I'm afraid of failing and letting Mariana down." Sometimes I think I should be looking for a job instead of spending my time here. What if all this effort is for nothing? Dr. Sanchez listened with deep empathy. Luis, I understand your fears. But remember, fear shouldn't dictate your actions. Your music is a special gift, and even if it's been a while, the passion and talent you possess are still there. Don't let fear stop you from pursuing what could be a life-changing opportunity. This is your chance to rediscover and share your talent. Luis absorbed the doctor's words, feeling a flicker of resolve amidst his uncertainty. The path ahead was unclear, but with Dr. Sanchez's support and Mariana's future hanging in the balance, he was ready to embrace the challenge. Dr. Sanchez continued, his voice steady and reassuring. You have the opportunity to change both your life and Mariana's. This isn't a waste of time. It's an investment in your future and hers. Luis, overwhelmed by a surge of emotions, voiced his concern about what would happen if he didn't succeed. What if I don't make it? What then? He asked, his voice quivering with worry. Dr. Sanchez, recognizing the gravity of Luis's distress, offered a solution that took Luis by surprise. Let's make a deal, he suggested. If you don't pass the contest, I'll hire you as my driver. It's a light job and won't be too demanding. But give it your all for the contest, and let's see where it takes you. If I could ask for anything, it's that you give this your best shot. Luis was deeply moved by the doctor's generosity and support. Thank you, doctor. Your offer means a great deal to me. I will give it everything I have for Mariana, he said, his resolve strengthening. Later, in the quiet of their small kitchen, Luis and Mariana shared a peaceful moment. Mariana excitedly recounted her day at school, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Dad, you won't believe it. We did an amazing science experiment today, and the math teacher said I have a talent for numbers. Mariana exclaimed. Oh, and the art teacher showed us some paintings that reminded me of the flowers we sell. Luis watched her with a heart full of admiration and warmth. That's wonderful, Mariana. I'm so glad you're enjoying school, he replied, his heart swelling with pride. You're very smart, and your mother would be so proud of you. Mariana beamed, her eyes dancing with the joy of her discoveries. I wish you could see everything we're learning. School is like a magical place, she said, her excitement making Luis reflect on the incredible opportunities education was opening up for her. Despite the joy of the moment, Luis felt a growing anxiety. He had been preparing for the talent show in secret, driven by the hope of changing Mariana's life. But the weight of not sharing this with her was heavy. Mariana, there's something I need to tell you, he began, but hesitated, fearful of raising her hopes only to disappoint her. Instead, he chose to change the subject. You're right, school is magical. I want you to enjoy every bit of it without worrying about anything else, he said, offering her a reassuring smile. On the eve of the big day, Luis met with Dr. Sanchez to finalize the preparations. The doctor's office, usually a place of calm, felt especially welcoming that afternoon, as if it were brimming with anticipation for the next day's event. I have something for you, Dr. Sanchez said, retrieving a neatly packed suit from a closet. I want you to look as exceptional as your talent is. This suit was chosen specifically for this occasion. Luis, touched by the thoughtful gesture, felt a mix of gratitude and nervousness. Doctor, this is too much. I don't know how to thank you, he said, admiring the suit with a look of astonished appreciation. The doctor's smile was filled with genuine warmth as he added, That's not all. Tomorrow I'm going to pick you up in a luxury car. I want you to arrive at the contest feeling special and valued, like the distinguished musician you are, he declared, his tone imbued with unwavering determination. Luis, still overwhelmed by the doctor's generosity, tried to refuse. Doctor, the contest venue is so close. I can walk there. There's no need for a luxury car, he protested, feeling uncomfortable with the opulence. Dr. Sanchez, however, was adamant. Luis, tomorrow you need to focus solely on your performance. No walking, no public transport. I want you to be free of all concerns except making your music shine, he said firmly, placing a supportive hand on Luis's shoulder. "Trust me, it's important that you feel valued and focused." As dawn broke, bringing with it the promise of a life-changing day, Luis awoke to the gentle light filtering through the curtains. When Mariana came into the kitchen, her eyes widened in surprise at the beautifully set table. "Dad, what's the occasion?" she asked, her face alight with curiosity and joy. "I just wanted us to start the day off right," Luis replied, carefully avoiding the real reason behind his efforts. Their breakfast was filled with laughter and light conversation, a welcome respite from the usual worries that clouded their days. After Mariana left for school, Luis stood before his mirror. The cool splash of water on his face served as a wake-up call, not just for his body but for his spirit. As he shaved with precision, each movement was infused with purpose. Today, Luis needed to be the best version of himself. Dressed in the suit gifted by Dr. Sanchez, Luis felt a surge of self-respect he hadn't experienced in years. As he adjusted his tie, he allowed himself a moment to dream of success and the possibility of giving Mariana a better future. Before leaving, he paused, closed his eyes, and offered a silent prayer for the day ahead, hoping it would unfold as he now envisioned. When Dr. Sanchez arrived in the luxury car, the next chapter of this extraordinary day began. Luis hesitated in the doorway, still grappling with insecurity. "Doctor, it wasn't necessary. The venue is so close," he tried to protest, but the doctor's reassuring gesture cut him off. "Luis, today you are the star, and stars deserve to arrive in grand style. I don't want you to think about anything other than your performance." Dr. Sanchez insisted with a conviction that brooked no argument. Accepting the doctor's kindness, Luis got into the car, his heart racing with a mix of anxiety and anticipation. As the car drove away, he gazed out the window, thoughts drifting to Mariana. Unbeknownst to Luis, it was a municipal holiday in Monterrey, a detail that had slipped both his and Mariana's minds. Mariana, still adjusting to her new school routine, had forgotten to note the important date. Lost in his nervousness, Luis had not considered it either. Arriving at the closed school, Mariana's frustration was palpable. "Of course, today of all days," she muttered to herself, disappointed that she couldn't attend her beloved science class. Determined not to waste the day, she turned toward home, contemplating how best to use her unexpected free time. However, as she rounded the corner of her house, Mariana was taken aback to see her father dressed in his finest and stepping into a luxury car she had never seen before. Her confusion and concern deepened, prompting her to follow the car at a distance, driven by a need to uncover the truth behind her father's unusual appearance and the extravagant vehicle. Mariana watched in disbelief as the luxury car pulled up to the venue of the talent show. Her heart raced, her mind struggling to process the sight of her father, who had insisted he had no interest in the contest, arriving in such a grand manner. Feeling a mix of betrayal and confusion, she resisted the urge to confront him immediately. Instead, she followed him into the venue, taking a seat in the back of the stands, hidden from view. From her vantage point, she observed the hustle and bustle of the auditorium. The anticipation was palpable, mingling with her own growing anxiety and disappointment. "He lied to me," she thought, her heart aching with a blend of hurt and disbelief. Why didn't he tell me? The sting of feeling excluded from such an important moment in her father's life was more profound than she had anticipated. She grappled with her emotions, trying to reconcile the pain of the deception with the possibility that there might be a reason for his secrecy. As the performances progressed, her father's anxiety was evident backstage. Luis was rehearsing his notes, his every chord a symbol of the hopes and fears he carried with him. When it was finally Luis's turn to take the stage, Mariana's heart pounded in her chest. Her emotions were a tumultuous storm of resentment and nervousness. As her father walked to the piano, she found herself whispering under her breath, "Can he do this? What if he fails?" Luis, seated at the piano, was overtaken by a wave of pressure. His initial notes faltered. A slip in tuning was glaringly obvious. "No, this can't be happening," he thought, paralyzed by fear. Just as he was about to flee the stage, Consumed by shame, Mariana's voice cut through the silence of the auditorium. "Dad, continue. You can do it," she urged, her voice carrying a powerful, unwavering conviction. Luis felt a surge of determination fueled by his daughter's belief in him. "She believes in me. I can't give up now," he resolved. As tears of resolve replaced his fear, he turned back to the piano, each note flowing with renewed confidence. He poured his heart into the music, transforming the initial mistake into a poignant part of his performance. "This is for you, Mariana. Every effort, all this fear. It's all for you," Luis told himself as he played, letting his emotions guide his melody. When the final note faded into silence, a moment of complete stillness followed before the applause erupted. Luis felt a profound sense of achievement, realizing that the true victory was in facing his fears and making his daughter proud. As the results were announced, Luis's heart raced with hope and trepidation. "Now, the moment we've all been waiting for." The presenter's voice echoed through the auditorium. "Second place goes to Luis Ramirez." The applause that followed was warm and encouraging. Although Luis had hoped for first place, the recognition was a significant achievement. Mariana clapped enthusiastically, her pride evident despite the subtle sadness in her father's eyes. "You were incredible, Dad," she shouted over the applause, trying to lift his spirits. Luis looked at her with a trembling smile, his voice thick with emotion. "Thank you, Mariana. This means everything to me," he said, his heart full of gratitude. Despite not winning first place, he felt thankful for the opportunity, the courage to confront his fears, and the chance to make his daughter proud. "Music has returned to our lives, and no one can take that away from us," he said, holding back tears of joy and relief. Just then, the presenter made an unexpected announcement. "And now, for our closing remarks, I'd like to invite Dr. Sanchez to the stage." The name struck Luis with surprise. As Dr. Sanchez walked toward the stage, Mariana leaned towards her father, her eyes wide with confusion. "Dad, isn't that the doctor who treated you when you were sick?" she asked, her voice tinged with bewilderment. Luis, taken aback by his daughter's question, nodded slowly. "Yes, it is him, Mariana," he confirmed. Mariana's gaze remained fixed on Dr. Sanchez, her mind racing to connect the dots. "But what is he doing here, organizing the contest?" she continued, her childlike curiosity unearthing more questions than answers. Luis, his confusion mirrored in Mariana's face, watched as Dr. Sanchez took the stage, his role in the contest adding a new layer to the day's events. After congratulating the winners and the event organizers, Dr. Sanchez addressed the audience with heartfelt emotion. "This year's participation has deeply touched my heart, and I believe everyone here feels the same," he said, his voice trembling slightly. "Luis Ramirez, you might be wondering why I'm mentioning your name now, but I assure you there is a very special reason." Luis, sitting beside Mariana, looked at the stage in bewilderment. "I don't understand," he murmured to Mariana. "What is he talking about?" Mariana, equally perplexed but captivated, shrugged her shoulders, her focus entirely on Dr. Sanchez. "When I discovered who you were while you were in the hospital," Dr. Sanchez continued, "I made it a point to attend to you personally. Your music, Luis, was the inspiration behind my passion for art and music. Without the notes of your piano, this contest might never have come to be." Luis was overwhelmed, his emotions welling up. "But I was just playing for my daughter," he whispered, more to himself than to Mariana, who watched him with wide eyes. Dr. Sanchez's gaze softened as he added, "It's because of your dedication, for everything you and your family mean to me, that I would like to give you a prize from my pocket." The announcement elicited surprised murmurs throughout the audience. "When I learned that your daughter had never seen you play, I wanted to help make that experience possible for both of you." Mariana's excitement bubbled over as she grabbed her father's arm. "Did you hear that, Daddy? He wants to give you an award." Her voice was choked with emotion, her eyes brimming with tears of joy. Luis could only nod, his own eyes welling up with tears. Dr. Sanchez descended from the stage to personally hand him a check in an envelope. Moved by the unexpected kindness and the profound emotion of the moment, Luis stood to receive it. His voice trembled as he said, "I don't know how to thank you, Dr. Sanchez. This means more to me than I can express." Mariana, with tears of happiness shining in her eyes, joined her father, adding, "Thank you, Dr. Sanchez, for making my dad so happy and for giving us the chance to hear him play. It's the best gift we could ever receive." Dr. Sanchez smiled warmly at them. "I am the one who should thank you. Luis's music and the love you share inspired everyone here." He turned especially to Mariana. "My daughters would love to meet you. They're about your age, and I'm sure you would become great friends. We'd like to have you more involved in our lives." From that day forward, Luis and Mariana's lives transformed in ways they had never imagined. The generous award from Dr. Sanchez not only provided Luis with the necessary treatment to restore his health, but also ensured a secure future for Mariana. With his health restored, Luis found a stable job, marking the end of a period of uncertainty and the beginning of a new chapter filled with stability and hope. The friendship that blossomed between the families of Luis and Dr. Sanchez became the true reward. Their lives were enriched by frequent gatherings filled with music, laughter, and shared stories. In this new reality, Luis and Mariana found solace in knowing that, regardless of the future's uncertainties, they had each other and a supportive community standing by their side. Thank you for joining us on this heartwarming journey with Luis and Mariana. Through their story, we've witnessed the power of generosity, the profound impact of believing in others, and the strength of family bonds. It's a reminder that kindness and support can transform lives in ways we never expect. So, what have you learned from Luis and Mariana's experience? How does their story resonate with your own life and relationships? I'd love to hear from you. Please take a moment to share in the comments below one lesson you've taken away and how you plan to apply it in your own life. If you enjoyed this video and found it inspiring, please leave your comment below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more uplifting content and stories that touch the heart. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.